Katrina Mae is another Australian expat who's living here in Vancouver, and she is the manager of the Australian Boot Company on 4th Avenue. And I highly recommend popping down and saying hello, because she's a bright and cheery person, and she sells a damn good product, the Blundstone boots. You look around, a lot of people are wearing them these days, and they're a great solid boot from a great Australian-owned company. And Katrina is actually a musician, a singer, and she has got her own tribute night this Saturday related to Patsy Cline. So I'd like to see if I can patch her through, and she's going to tell us all about this night. Hello, Katrina.
Hello.
You're live on CiTR here. This is Stranded, the Australian-Canadian Music Show.
How you doing, Matt?
Very good. Thanks, Katrina. It's always wonderful to pop into your shop on 4th Avenue and say hi, because you're always bright and cheery and you bring joy to my life and my feet.
Oh, that's lovely. That's because I love the boots, you know. They're awesome.
They are. And not only do you run this amazing shop, but you are a vocalist.
Absolutely.
Vocalist.
Yeah.
Can you tell the listeners a little bit about your life prior to arriving in Vancouver and the singing that you did back home?
Well, basically, just like any other struggling musician, I mean, you hit the road and you get gigs where you can and when you can. I had amazing opportunities with some TV back home and, in Melbourne Tonight and Good Morning Australia and at East Drysdale, where most of my fan base was probably over 70 years of age. But, I loved them just as much. It wasn't about having to get into the young people. My style of music, I've always loved the older style. So for me, those kind of audiences actually sat quite well with me. Had I have been around, for me, the 40s, 50s, and 60s, if I could click my fingers and be in any era, I'd probably pick that for sure, which is no surprise why I think that, I went down the whole wanting to celebrate the music of Patsy Cline. But basically, in answer to your question, was back home was the typical gigs, 4 or 5 nights a week and, sort of in the car and on the road and a bit of television. And that was pretty much my life, casinos and, weddings, parties, anything. Yeah,
yeah. And you relocated to Canada a few years ago.
Yeah, I come to Canada again to pursue music. I was, I did the same thing in the UK and just was a little cloudy for me. And that sounds funny since I live in Vancouver. But, I kind of thought, I don't know, I was sitting in Manchester one day and Canada came into my mind. So I came here with my guitarist. I'd been with the same guitarist for 10 years. And we come here and... just trying to find our feet and figure out what we wanted to do and have our sort of jobs on the side of our music. And it can be sometimes tough in a new country. And I think that I just had a little bit more fight in me that I wanted to stick around where the guitarist is, was like, I'm bailing, at that time, the opportunities that were coming along were few and far between. So he went back to Oz and I was kind of, funny enough, stranded, as your show is called, guitarless. And so I had to start again. It was almost like going back to when I was 18, 19, 20 and having to reform the band, find the right players for me. So that's how I came about with the Aussie Boot Shop on 4th. And that was my day job and really a gig that I also love, taking care of that. But I did have to find, the guitarist, the bass player, the drummer, and get it all happening again, which took a long time. And, I would be auditioning guitarists, coming into the shop. They come into the Australian Boot Company, and I'm like, okay, can you play this or can you play that? And, sometimes it's just, it wasn't working for me, or, I don't know, you have different dynamics with people. So, thank you, but I'm trying to go down this way. Or eventually, I met the guitarist that I did, and not only was he a great guitarist, but, it was also the fact that, he had some really good players in mind to come on board with the project, because I wasn't sure at that point what I was going to work on. I said, you know what, I really want to bring the classics back to Vancouver, back to 4th, back to Vancouver in general. So that's kind of how it came about with the concept of not being a tribute show as such, as you're not going to see me in a brown wig trying to sound like or be Patsy Cline, but the fact that I just love the classics and such an icon that I want to just celebrate really good music and play it with really good musicians. So
it's really great. And this is a really good bookend to this show because at the start of the show I was playing a lot of 60s Australian rock and roll. And it's funny with your comment where you would be if you could go back in time. That myself would probably be the 60s rock and roll era. And it's great to bring this essence of other eras back, because people aren't necessarily aware, or they're just throwing a whole bunch of stuff at them all the time and forget.
Well, everybody that knows me knows I don't read newspapers, I don't watch TV, and I don't really find out about what's new, that's a bad thing in a way, that I don't know who's new and what's out there. It's probably good for songwriting because I'm not influenced by anybody, which is where I feel my song would be completely original because I'm stuck in my little bubble, and I quite like that. And, if people want to think that I'm some sort of modern-day Patsy Cline, well, I don't mind that. I don't mind writing, new material that's in an older style as if I was around in the 50s and 60s. That suits me fine. That's why I wanted to do this show. I'm really looking forward to getting back on stage for the first time in a very long time, and I can't wait for tomorrow. I really can't wait.
Well, we've unfortunately run out of time, so we'll quickly give people the details of that, and then maybe play a Patsy Cline track off YouTube on the way out.
You've got one, have you?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Awesome.
Crazy or Fall to Pieces.
Give me I Fall to Pieces, because
Okay.
Crazy's been done to death. I love it. It's great. Willie Nelson wrote that, by the way. Awesome song.
Okay.
But let's do I Fall to Pieces, because it was one of her biggest hits. Hopefully I'll see some of you guys down at Rowan's Roof, which is at 2340 West 4th in Vancouver, Kitsilano. John Walsh is on bass. Scott Cook is on guitar. Brennan Soul on drums. Obviously me on vocals. The show's called Inclined. We would absolutely love to see you down there.
This is in Vancouver on Saturday night, Rowan's Roof.
Absolutely.
2340 West 4th. And, of course, the Australian Boot Company. You can always pop in and see Katrina.
And if you're listening and you mention Stranded, you get $30 off your boots.
That's
Just
right.
remember that.
Thanks, Katrina. Thanks so much for chatting.
No worries, Matt.